Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, this is the continuation of the discussion for Module 2, Normal Distribution. So, for lessons 3, 4, and 5, we will discuss these lessons in this video lesson, inshallah. So, lesson 3 would be standard scores. And then later on, we will also tackle lesson 4, probability notations, and lesson 5, percentile ranks or percentile. So, standard score. What does a standard score mean? And why do we use a standard score? Because sometimes, raw scores may be composed of large values, but large values cannot be accommodated at the baseline of the normal curve. So they have to be transformed into scores for convenience without sacrificing meanings associated with the raw scores. For example, let's say we have a score of 90. So in the curve, diba, we all know that in the curve, so this is like 0. Usually we have 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Although we know that this extends, pero hindi kasi natin maabot talaga ng 90. Imagine mo gaano kalayo yun, diba? So that is why we convert this type of scores into the standard scores. Ito kasi yung standard scores natin. Without losing its meaning, without sacrificing meanings associated with the raw scores. Kung baga pa, inirepresent mo lang siya into negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, instead of plotting the entire 90 na raw score. Okay? So that is one of the very reason that we use standard scores. Okay? Especially if the data set is normally distributed. Okay? So, if you wish to find the proportion of area, percentage, or probability associated with the raw score, you must find its matched z-value using the z-score formula. Then, the z-value leads to the area under the normal curve found in the z-table, which is a probability or the desired percentage. So, how do we get the z-scores? So, again, the z-score or the standard score measures how many standard deviation. Ibig sabihin, di ba nga, sabi natin, ang standard deviation is the square root of the variance. And remember, the variance is the distance of the score from the mean. Okay? So, ang z-score would be how many. It is the measure of how many standard deviation a given value x, whatever that x is, it might be a score, a height, age, mean, whatsoever, is above or below the mean. Ibig sabihin, ang ibig niya lang sabihin doon is that, di ba nga, sa normal distribution, yung center, ang mean. Kaya nga ang mean is equals to 0 and the standard deviation is 1, right? So, whatever is the z-score, for example, this is the z-score, let's say negative 1.2, it is the measure gaano kalayo ito. Okay, this distance, okay, from the mean, remember this is the mean, to that point, whatever that point is. Okay, whatever that given x is. Okay, yun ang ibig sabihin ng z-score. Okay, going back to your module, so z-scores are useful in comparing observed values. If a z-score is equals to 0, it is on the mean. Kasi nga, ang gitna is 0, so, and we know that mean is 0. Okay, a positive z-score indicates that the score or observed value is above the mean. Mas mataas siya kaysa sa mean. And likewise, pag nasa negative siya na side, therefore it's on the left side. It's below the mean. For example, if a z-score is equals to 1, it is 1 standard deviation above the mean. If a z-score is equals to negative 2, it is 2 standard deviations below the mean. Tulad lang nito, for example daw, okay, this is your mean, 0. Kung 1, so ibig sabihin, it is 1 standard deviation above the mean. But if it's negative 2, then it is 2 standard deviation below the mean. Okay, so ang ibig sabihin ng below is on the left, and ibig sabihin ng above is on the right. Okay? So, The areas under the normal curve are given in terms of z-scores. Either it locates x within a sample or within a population. That is why we have two formula. Because, again, review ko na kanina sa module, sa lesson 1 and 2, ano yung kaibahan ng parametric at saka statistic, di ba? Parametric, population, statistic, we are talking about sample. So, this is the formula. In order to transform a raw score, no? Transform the raw score into a z-score. In order to get the z-score, then we have the parametric side and the statistic. Remember, again, when we are talking about parametric, it's the population. So, z is equals to whatever that score is minus the mean or mu over standard deviation. Kung sa statistic naman ang pinag-uusapan, it is still x minus mean, but the mean is now represented by x bar over standard deviation. Minsan S, minsan SD ang ginagamit ng mga textbook, pero dito sa ating module, ang ginamit natin is S. Okay, so this is the formula. Basically, it's the same, no? Yung representation lang ang iba. Okay, it's actually the same. Okay, so we know what, I hope we know what those mean, no? Ito yung mean ng population, ito yung standard deviation ng population. Ito yung mean ng sample, okay? At ito yung standard deviation ng sample, okay? It's just, this is the x, whatever that score is, a given point, okay? And z is the z-score, okay? So next, so let's have some examples on how to get the score. So locate the z-value that corresponds to mathematics test score of 55 given the mean, mu is equals to 50, and standard deviation sigma is equals to 2. So, let's use ito, no? Ito siya. So, z is equals to, what was that? 55 minus 50 over, what is the sigma? 2. Okay. So, using your calculator, so 55 minus 50 is 5. 5 over 2, it's 2.5. So, 2.5. If you're going to represent that on the graph, obviously, nandito siya banda. Tama ba? Okay. So, next. Example 2 on the midterm examination in statistics. The sample mean was 80 and, okay, sample ha. Sample standard deviation was 7. Determine the standard score. Who got 75? Okay. So, dito ito yung gagamitin natin. So, 75 ang nakuha ng estudyante, 80 ang average, and then 7 ang standard deviation. So, 75 minus 80 is 5. Negative 5 divided by 7, it's negative 71. Sorry, negative 0.71. Okay, so thus, the z-value that corresponds to the raw score 75 is negative 0.71 in a sample distribution. This means that the score is, if you're going to represent this on the curve, it should be around here. Halimbawa, ito yung negative 1 natin. So, yun dapat, yung negative 71.71. Okay, masyado atang ano. Somewhere around here. Okay, so yan yung 71. Negative 0.71. Okay, so last example, Liza scored 90 in a mathematics test and 70 in an English test. Scores in mathematics test have a mean of 80 and standard deviation of 10. And then scores in English test have a mean of 60, standard deviation of 8. So, in which subject was her standing better? So, how are we going to solve for that? We are going to use population, kasi population ang nilagay doon. Or actually, you can use any, ano naman, no? Kasi nga, pareho lang sila technically. So, let me have a z-score for math, no? At saka yung English. Sa English. So, sa math daw, 90 daw yung grade niya. So, z is equals to 90 yung grade niya, minus 80 yung, ano, mean, over 10. Ang standard deviation. Sa English naman, 70 yung score niya, 60 ang mean, over 8. Okay. So, 90 minus 80, 10. 10 over 10 is equals to 1. Okay? Ito naman, 70 minus 60 is negative 10. Negative 10 over 8. Let me use my calculator. Negative 1.25. Sorry, bakit ako nagka-negative? Okay, 1.25 lang pala guys. I'm so sorry. So looking at this, no, you can already generalize that her standing in English is way better than math. Kasi nga, kung i-plot mo yan siya, di ba, sa normal curve. Okay, so kung i-plot mo siya, okay, so this is your 0, this is 1. and then this is sabihin natin 2. So, yung math is on the 1. So, nandito siya, no, ang standing. And then, ang English naman, andito siya banda. Okay, so that is your 1.25. So, obviously, mas mataas ang, what do you call this one? Ang English because it is 1.5 standard deviations from or above the mean. This is your mean. Okay? So, indeed, you can conclude that mas maganda yung performance niya sa English. So, let's go to the fourth lesson, determining probabilities. So, finding the area of a region under the normal curve is the same as finding the probability associated with that region. For example, itong 1.25, no? Kung titingnan natin yung, so this is page 19. Kung titingnan natin yung area niya doon sa Z table, Z table. So, 1.2, tapos 0.5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ito siya, no? 0.3944. Kung kukunin ko yung percentage nito, it will be 39.44%. Okay, so that is the probability or that is the chance that it will happen. Or that is your, what do you call this one, standing on the English test. Okay, so yun yung ibig sabihin ng determining the probability or getting the area under the curve is the same as getting the probability. There you go. So we have probability notations. So these are the probability that we are going, notations that we are going to use. Because these scores can be of these three cases. So let A and B be z-score values. So the probability A is less than Z, but Z is less than B. So it denotes the probability that the z-score is between A and B. So for example, no, so sabi niya dyan, it is read as the probability that the z-score falls between Z is equals to A and Z is equals to B. So for example, kung i-graph natin yan siya, it will look something like this. If this is A, and for example, this is B, then Z is this area. Okay? So, ang next naman is Z is greater than A, at saka, okay, so, if Z is greater than A, then the, what do you call this one? The graph for that is probably something like this. So, this is your 0, no? That's, for example, this is your A. So, ibig sabihin, above dapat, no? So, ibig sabihin, ito yung Z mo. Above A. Kung ano naman, P is where the probability Z is less than A, baliktad dun sa taas, no? So if less than siya, doesn't necessarily mean na na negative siya, no? It's just lower, okay? So for example, this is your A again. Okay? So ito siya sa baba dapat, okay? Sa left side, okay? Sa left side ang or sa below the mean ang hahanapin mong region. That is the probability of that. Okay? So, let's have an example. Find the probability that the z-score is less than. Z is equals to negative 1.78. So, example 1. Z is equals to negative 1.78. Am I right? Okay. Negative 1.78. So, kung i-graph natin to siya, no? Actually, it's in your modules, but let's just graph it. Pangit pa naman ang graph ko. So, ito yung 1, kunwari, so 1.78, medyo malapit siya sa 2, no? So, for example, nandito siya, negative 1.78, okay? And, less than, okay, there you go, andyan siya, is less than. So, meaning, ito yung kukunin mo, yung below the z-score, okay? So, how are you going to get that? So, now that we were able to graph that one, use the Z table to find the areas that correspond to the given Z value or values. So, if we're going to go back to the table, so ang 1.7 is 4.625. Okay. Sorry. 0.4625. Okay. So, yan yung area, no? Itong area na ito. That is 0.4625. Again, saan nyo nakuha yan, teach? Doon sa table, sa Z table. So, the graph suggests subtraction kasi nga, ito lang naman yung kukunin natin, di ba? And we know that this one is 0.5. Kasi nga, 'di ba, ang SD or standard deviation is 1. So, kung kalahati or symmetric siya sa gitna, sa center, ibig sabihin itong kalahati is 0.5 at itong kalahati is 0.5 as well. Okay? So, since ito lang yung gusto natin kunin, itong area lang na ito, para makuha natin yan, the area should be 0.5 minus, okay, 0.4625. So, let me use my calculator. 0.5 minus 0.4625 is equals to 0. Wait, what happened? 375. 0375. So, ang pagbasa nito is the probability that Z is less than negative 1.78 is equals to 0.0375. Or, kung gawin mo to siyang percentage, because we are talking about probability, kung gagawin mo siyang percentage, it is 3.75%. Okay? So, let's have an example number 2. Find the probability that C score is at most 0.91. So, ang ibig sabihin ng at most is maximum niya ang 0.91. Yun yung highest niya. So, ibig sabihin, from 0.91 pababa. Yun ang hinahanap mo na area. Okay? So, let's have example number 2. So, kung ipa-plot natin yan siya, it should look something like this. So, this is your 0. For example, this is your 1. So, nandito siya na part, no? Nandito siya. So, 0.91. So, we're looking for this area. Guys, pa-check na lang sa mga ano ninyo. Module 0.9. So, puntahan nyo yung 0.9 and then 0.01. So, 3186. Ito pa lang yung nakuha natin guys, sayang. Itong 0.3186, that is from 0 to 0.91. Okay? So, we are trying to get all of this. So, how are we going to get that area? So, area should be 0.5 plus 0.3186. 0.8186. Ayan. Okay. So, the probability now that Z is less than pa rin, no? Less than 0.91 is equals to 0.8186. Or, again, kung gawin mo siyang percentage, it should be 81.86%. Okay. Let's try this example number 3. So, find the probability that the C score lies between Z is equals to 1 and Z is equals to 2. So, andito siya, tsaka andito. So, this is 1 and 2. Ito siya. Nasa gitna, no? So, kung hahanapin natin yung area ng 1, so, ang area ng 1 is 1.0. Sa Z table, 0.3413. Ang area naman ng 2.0 is 0.4772. Okay. So, ang nakuha natin, itong area 1, this is this one, no? Ito siya. Tapos, ang 0.4772, that is this one. Okay. Pero ito lang yung gusto natin kunin. Diba? So, how are we going to do that? So, i-minus lang natin ang, so, area now will be, i-minus natin ang 4.772 minus 0.3413. Iurong ko, sorry. So, the probability that Z is greater than 1 but is less than 2, so lies between, no? That the probability of that is 0.1359 or that is 39.59%. So, lesson 5, determining probabilities. This is what we call now percentile. So, often the units for a raw test score are not informative. You might not know, or you might know that you scored 76 over 100, but it doesn't give you much information, only that you scored 76 out of 100. Pero hindi mo alam na, alam mo yun, yung feeling na akala mo mataas ka na sa dihang the rest of the people in the class actually got 90 pataas. Kasi ko pa pala yung pinakamababa. Or, vice versa, akala mo ang baba mo, 76 out of 100, and then apparently, ikaw pa pala ang pinakamataas. Tapos the rest, 50 pababa, you know? So, we use percentile rank. Okay, so if your teacher told you that your test or your score in the test is in 90th percentile, it means you're above. Okay? So, percentile is a measure of relative standing within a group. Nasaan ka na part, okay? It is the percent of cases that are at or below a score. It tells you how a value compares to other values. If your teacher tells you that you scored 90th percentile, it means that 90% of the grades were lower than yours and 10% were higher. So, kung baga pa, pag sinabi niya na 90 ka, and for example lang ha, let's get the z-score of 90. For example, the mean, okay, let's say 97 ka. 97 minus 90 divided by 10. So, 0.7. So, andito ka kunwari sa 0.7. So, pag sinabi niya na ang percentile rank mo is 90%, no? So, meaning, 90% of the entire 10 students, ito sila, mas mababa sa'yo. Okay? At only 10% ang mas mataas sa'yo. So, next. So, in the previous lesson, you learned on how to find the area of probability under the normal curve given a z-value. Suppose you know the area or probability this time. How would you find the corresponding z-score? Baliktad na tayo ngayon, no? The other way around na siya. When you are given with the area or probability and you want to know the corresponding z-score, locate the area at the body of the table. If the exact area is not available, take the nearest area. Then, look up the corresponding z-value. Again, kung babasahin lang natin yan, mahirapan tayo. So, let's go and try out some examples para makita natin paano ba talaga siya ginagawa. So, we have this one. Find the 90th percentile of a normal curve. So, example 1 ng percentile, sabi niya 90th percentile daw, kunin natin. So, to begin with, we have to find the z-value located at this point. So, itong 90, gawin nating decimal point. Okay, so paano natin siya gawing decimal point? Kanina, para magawa nating percentage, kailangan nating i-times ng 100, diba? So, ngayon, kailangan natin siyang i-divide by 100. So, that is 0.900. So, kailangan muna natin siyang i-represent. Okay, sorry naman. I was not able to represent it on a curve. Okay, so alam natin na itong kalahati, 0.5 na to, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, meron pang naiwan na 0.4. Taba ba? Kasi 0.9 man. So, andito siguro yun. Merong 0.4 na natira. So, ito yung buong 0.900. Okay? So, yun pala ang hahanapin natin, yung 0.400. Saan ko nakuha ang 0.4? Again, 0.5 minus 0.9. Kasi nga, itong part na to, 0.05, ay yung 0.5. Tapos itong natira, yun yung 0.4. So, go back to your table, and then, hanapin nyo yung 0.400. But the thing is, walang 0.400. Ang meron is 0.3997 at saka merong 0.4015. Okay. So, alin ang mas malapit sa 0.400? Of course, it's this one, right? Kasi 3 points lang. 0.0003 ang lamang niya. Ito, ang lamang niya is 0.0015. So, ito yung piliin mo. Okay? So, 0.3997. So, that is the area that we are looking for. At kung kukunin mo pabaliktad, ano yung value niya, it's going to be, the column is 0.08 and the row is 1.2. Therefore, ang z value nitong 0.3997 is 1.28. Okay? So, meaning, ito siya is 1.28. So, the z value is 1.28. So, ang 90th percentile, ang kanyang z value is 1.28. Okay. So, next. Let's try a different example. Ang example naman na ito ay example 2. Okay, so 95th. Okay? Percentile of a normal curve. Okay. So, the same way, no? The same thing, almost the same thing. No? So, we have to locate the 95th. So, 95th percentile, so, it is 0.9500. So, So this is 0.5, obviously, so you have to have a 0.45. Locate the z-value corresponding to the area, 0.4500. Go to your z-table para makita nyo yun. And then, take the nearest area because it's not available. Walang 0.4500. What we have here instead is, let me see, I'm looking. Okay, meron tayong 4495 at saka 4505. Okay, let's go back. 495. Okay. So, as you can see, pareho sila, no? Almost ba? Parehong 0.0005 ang difference nila with our value. So, doon tayo nagkaroon ng konting dilemma. Ito siya, 0.0005 ang kanyang difference with 0.4500. Tapos itong isa, pareho, no? Ganon din yung difference. So, sino yung kukunin natin? Or alin dyan yung kukunin natin? So, what we're going to do is get the z-value for this area. So, this is for 1.64 and this one is for 1.65. And then, kunin lang natin yung average nilang dalawa. So, these are already z-values, remember? So, z would be 1.64 plus 1.65 divided by 2. So, your z now would be 1.645. And if you're going to plot that here, 1.645. Okay, so that is the equivalent z-value of 95th percentile. Okay? So, yung example 3, inshallah, I hope you would be able to understand that, no? 2% above ang kukunin. So, you try to understand example number 3 on your own. Okay. So, meron tayong note dito, no? Solving the problems does not follow a uniform procedure. You really have to analyze the problem carefully and apply what you have learned about the concepts involving the normal curve. Kumbaga pa, guidelines lang to. Walang solid na process or steps ang pwede mong i-follow. Okay, guidelines lang. Kumbaga pa, something that could help you, but not exactly if i-follow mo siya thoroughly, makukuha mo all the time ang answer no. Okay, so it differs from time to time. So let's try this one though. Activity 5.1. Okay, so the problem is, the results of the final exam in general mathematics of the 12 sections of grade 11 are normally distributed with the mean 82, standard deviation 13. What is the percentile rank of a score of 85? Okay. So, meron siyang steps, no? Gawin nyo lang yung steps. So, ang una is convert the raw score of 85 to a z-score. Okay, so this is mu at saka sigma, meaning we are going to use population. So, z is equals to mu, baliktad, sorry, x minus mu over sigma, which is 85 daw yung score niya. At ang mean ay 82, ang sigma is 13. So, 85 minus 82 divided by 13, that is 0.23. Draw the normal curve showing the z-score. Okay. Grabe talaga yung normal curve ko, guys. So, 0.23. So, for example, ito yung 1, 2, 3. Andito yan siya sa 0.23. Okay. So, 0.23. Okay. And then, remember, ang percentile rank is, di ba, nandito sa, from that point at lahat nung nasa baba niya. Okay. So, yan siya lahat. Okay. So, number 3, tama na ba? Yun na ba yun? Draw a line. Okay, I did already draw a line through the z-score and shaded the required region. Okay, I already did that. So, that is process number 3. For number 4, ang process number 4 is use the table and find the area that corresponds to the computed z-score. Okay? Okay. So, 0.23 is 0.2 plus 0.03. Ito. Ang area is 0.0, ano yun? Okay, 910. Okay. Examine the shaded region and make an appropriate operation to apply. So, ito yun na part, no? Ito yung part na yun. From 0 to 0.23, ito yun. Yung 0.0910, yun yung area niya. However, kasali itong kabila eh. So, dapat, ang area natin should be 0.5 plus 0.090, which is equals to 0.5910. Tama ba? So, technically, we can now conclude that ang percentile rank nung nakakuha ng score na 85 is 59.10%. Okay. So, yes, there you go. So, the percentile rank of the score 85 in a test is 59.10. Meaning, 59.10% of the students got lower grades than you. Okay, yun lang naman ang ibig sabihin ng percentile. So, I hope you will be able to do the assessment. Okay, so what we have tackled today, we have talked about the percentile, of course. We also have talked about the probability notations and the standard score. Paano magkuha ng standard score. So that is the end of Module 2. I hope you will be able to watch this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will thank you in advance. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.